I am the author of 54 books come January 30th. I am also a journalist, a longtime journalist, working with The Defender as managing editor. I have a background in television news, and I write screenplays. I have two of my screenplays have been made into movies. In addition to two of my books have been made into movies. So I just consider myself a Jill of all trades.
And we talked about you being award winning, several awards, but I see one in particular right behind you. What is that?
That is my NAACP Image Award.
Go
I'm
ahead.
so grateful to have that for outstanding fiction.
You've had incredible success with your 53 books before this 54th. My question is, why take on a new genre and write about Hattie McDaniel?
Yeah, you always want to challenge yourself. You want to grow. And I have, I've done commercial fiction for the longest. Mainstream fiction is what we call it. And I really did enjoy it. But I felt like I wanted to grow as an author. And then I thought, well, how can I do that? And I love historical fiction. I've never really wanted to go that route because it felt too much like my day job, because you do have to do a whole lot of research. But then I fell in love with Hattie McDaniel, and I just decided that that gave me the best of both worlds. My journalism background allowed me to get the research and the facts to make the foundation of this story. And then the novelist side of me was able to then come in and craft a total story. And so it's a merging of both worlds.
What was it about Sister Hattie McDaniel that spoke to you and had you saying, I have to write this book?
So the first time I saw Hattie McDaniel was in Gone with the Wind. I was watching it with my grandmother and I was repulsed. Like so many Black people, I was like, why is she acting like that? And my grandmother loved the movie. And I was a little girl and I just remember her saying, why don't you like her? I said, well, she's a maid. And my grandmother said, so am I. And I'm giving you a
Mm.
good life as a maid. And thought about it and I was like, well, she's right. And then my grandmother said, what would you like her to do? Would you like her to play Wonder Woman? Would you like her to play Cary Grant's love interest? And I thought, yeah, she's playing only the roles that she can. And so I've always been fascinated with her over the years, especially I wanted to be an actor. And so she was someone that I really admired as I got to study her more. And so I just got to a point in my career where I wanted to learn more about her. And it's once I started peeling back the layers that I said, the world does not know Hattie McDaniel.
Yeah, and to that point, I want to ask this next question, and you've already kind of alluded to it, because Hattie McDaniel holds this really interesting place in Black history. She's celebrated for her Oscar first, but she's also been criticized for the role that she played. So, what did you learn about her and how she dealt with those highs and those lows?
It really was challenging for her. She had a hard time fitting in because the white people didn't like her because they felt like Mammy was too sassy. Black people didn't like her because they didn't like Mammy. And all she wanted to do was work. And so she would always say, white, and that holds true today. White actors can do and be whatever. And it's not an indictment on the whole race. But Black actors, the minute they do something that people don't approve of, that they consider stereotypical, then it's an indictment on the whole race and it makes the whole race look bad. But further to that point, she's like, what else can I do? These are the only jobs they're giving me. And she has a famous quote, I'd rather play a maid for $700 than be a maid for $7.
What's the most surprising thing you learned about Hattie McDaniel?
Oh gosh, it was so much. I didn't know about restrictive covenants. And a lot of people don't know about that. So Hattie McDaniel's efforts are the reason many of us can live wherever we want. I live in a nice suburban neighborhood, and Hattie McDaniel's efforts is part of what made that happen. When she moved into her mansion in West Adams, which is essentially what Sugar Hill was renamed to, her neighbors sued to get her out. Now, mind you, she paid $10,000 more than everybody else because, she's Black. So the owner charged her more. And her neighbor sued based on restrictive covenants, which says you only sell to people of European blood. You only sell to white people, basically. And so she challenged that. And they went all the way to the Supreme Court. and had a judge in Los Angeles surprised everybody after Hattie made her case and ruled that restrictive covenants were not enforceable. So she
Wow.
got to keep her home. Other Black people in the area got to keep their home. And that case eventually led to another case in the Supreme Court before Thurgood Marshall, where it was struck down. I looked at Hattie with that disgust and with that disdain and said, she's making Black people look bad. And what I learned is I had to take off my 21st century lens and look at it through the time in which she was. All of the Black actors were typecast, if you will, that looked like her. They wanted the heavyset. So you had those, and their roles were limited. Now you had the Lena Hornes of the world and the Dorothy Dandridges of the world, who their roles were limited as well, but in a different way. And so she couldn't walk in there and say, well, I want to play the president of this company. And I also learned about being a quiet advocate, a quiet activist. We're so used to the loud and out proud civil rights activists who bring change by being aggressively loud. Hattie believed that you can make change by having a seat at the table. And so that was the way that she went in. People don't know the N-word was left out of Gone with the Wind because she insisted. So had she not been there, they probably would have had it all up and through there. But she quietly fought from the inside to make those kind of changes. She couldn't have done that had she not had a seat at the table.
So what do you want readers to walk away with after they read The Queen of Sugar Hill?
I want them to take their 21st century lens off in examining Hattie McDaniel and what she brought to us as a race. In her Oscar speech, she said that she wanted to always be a credit to her race. I think over the years, that's been lost because so many people look at the negative side of it. They look at the stereotypical portrayal. But I am of the mind that we don't want to erase even those the ugly parts of our history, because that's what, if we get political, that's what the GOP is trying to do, erase that ugly part of our history. We don't need to do that as well. And the Hattie McDaniels of the world are part of our history. So I hope readers can see her in a new light and just respect and appreciate her for the legend that she is.
Tell us about the book tour. When does it start? What cities? Which city are you most looking forward to hitting? And when will you be in Houston?
I am so excited. I'm hitting the road on release day. Well, actually, the weekend before. I'm going all over the country touring with this book. I will be in Austin on release day, but I am so excited about Houston. We're having a huge big book launch at the El Dorado Ballroom, the historic El Dorado Ballroom, which is fitting. And I'm just looking forward to being able to mix and mingle and just help people look at Hattie in a new light. But from there, I'm all over the place. And of course, people can see my tour schedule on my website at ReShondaTate.com.